Hey, there we are.
That
What is
was
up, everybody?
epic.
Yeah, I had to throw together a little intro for us. It felt naked without it. So, what is up? It is Sunday, the day after DC Fandome. For those of you that are aware of what that is, you already know why we're here. For those of you that aren't, it was basically an online DC-centric Comic-Con presentation where they went over all of the awesome things that they have coming out over the next couple of years, both comic-wise, movie-wise, and video game-wise. There was a ton of different panels. I caught quite a bit of it. Some of it aftermath, like on Twitter, when everybody was losing their minds. Some of it I caught live. I think Durban did the same. But we are here now to talk about all of the meaty stuff. So we're going to talk about Wonder Woman 84, Gotham Knights, The Flash, The Suicide Squad, Snyder Cut of Justice League, Black Adam, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and The Batman.
Yes.
So, with all that being said, Durban, how are we? What's the state of the DCEU?
The state of the DCEU is good and bright. There are some very, very compellingly. Let me say this as a preview to something we're going to discuss in a little bit later. You know how much I dislike Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
I am looking forward to the Suicide Squad. That's how bright the state of the DCEU is for me. Just as a preview for things to come.
Yeah, I put a let me get it out so that I don't misquote myself. But I put a tweet on Twitter that has been hilarious. How butthurt a couple of people have been getting. I put nothing but love for the MCU. Very important that I put that. Nothing but love for the MCU. But today cements the fact that the era of DC reign is upon us. And my God, if I have not gotten comments like, quit jumping the gun. Why can't you just like both? I'm like, I said I like both. But anyway, yes. So I wasn't sure what to expect with this DC Fandome thing. I'm not really a Comic-Con guy. I've never been to any cons. I've never really had too much interest in going. It just seems like a lot of waiting for a couple of small panels. And then for the really big panels, you basically have to wait all day. And this, I actually think, was pretty awesome. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I loved the presentation of it. I thought that the whole like green screen background and the actual dome that they made was pretty cool. I like how you got to know little tidbits behind the scenes, get to talk with directors, and then we get to see a trailer or a release date or a title drop. And then it's online immediately after that. To me, that was like the perfect experience. So I know people love going to cons. They love dressing up. They love the whole experience, even waiting in line. It's just like going to an amusement park. You hate it whenever you're in line, but then at the same time, you're sitting there and you're like, I can't wait to get on this ride. So the line is kind of cool too. But I think this might reset the stage a little bit. I think we might start to see more stuff like this, especially until COVID goes away. But as far as cons, I actually like this. I prefer doing something like this. I would pay like $50 or whatever to have all weekend access to DC's Comic-Con or Marvel's Comic-Con and just watch trailer reveals and stuff. So I liked it. I had fun with it.
Same here. Like, for instance, like I've always wanted to go to at least one Comic-Con just to experience it. It's not like something because, you know, for me as a YouTuber, it's the reaction. So when trailers drop and I can react, if I'm at Comic-Con, I'm missing a whole huge thing from my channel. Even though I could probably afterwards cut together a cool video of my experience and what I thought, I'm still missing initial reactions and all the stuff that comes from those. And so it's like, well, that kind of bites, but I've always wanted to go once. I loved this because I got to actually be a part of it. I got to see what the panels were like, and I learned not all the panels are my favorite aspects, but once it got into here's what this movie's about, here's the characters, and I'm like, yes, I'm on fire. This is awesome. And to be able to react to a trailer like right then and there and, you know, hit record on my camera right as it's picking up on Fandom, like that was a really cool thing to be able to do. So even when COVID is gone and things start to go back to normal and Comic-Con's back, I hope something like DC Fandom still exists because
me too.
I think it was just cool to give everyone that kind of access. You don't have to be in San Diego and drop all this money on these tickets. It was so cool because if you're a sports fan, you always get to watch your favorite team play. You don't have to be at the stadium. It's cool to be there, but you don't have to. You can watch it at home. So for once, like, I don't like sports at all, but this was my big sports fan moment because I got to be a part of that and be a part of what is going on with my favorite team, DC.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're in agreement on that. I hope you guys had fun as well. I don't know how many of you tuned in for it, but I had a lot of fun with it. So the first movie that we're going to talk about, Wonder Woman 84. So we've talked about this one a couple of times on State of the DCEU. We kind of got the gist of what this movie is. We didn't learn a whole lot new. They just showed a new trailer. It was cool. This was the first panel, I believe. So I did watch this panel in its entirety. I thought it was cool seeing Patty Jenkins and some of the cast members like answering some of the fan questions, and you even got Linda Carter in there, which was a cool show up where she just comes in and she's like this, and they're like, ah! So that was a lot of fun.
How starstruck Cheetah got when Linda popped up there? That was awesome.
Yep, exactly. And Gal Gadot was talking to her. He's like, I'm glad I get to call you Mama Bear. And that was that stuff was cool. It's cool to see the actors that are getting paid millions of dollars for this stuff are still kind of humbled that I get to play this role that this person made famous so many years ago.
Yeah. The other thing cool is it's like they're YouTubers like us, the way they had to do this, it wasn't any great, big, expensive thing. For a brief moment, they were YouTubers just like you and me. And that was kind of cool to experience it that way.
It was. I didn't really, they were talking about Pedro Pascal. Again, I know little to nothing about Wonder Woman villains and the actual comic book storyline. So I really don't know anything about Cheetah. It seems like some kind of a fashion model who has feral powers. I could be totally wrong on that, but that's what I got from the gist of the trailer. Pedro Pascal is like not the main villain, but he's kind of the guy pulling the strings in the background, it seems like. And from what I got from the trailer, it seems like that's how Steve Trevor comes back. Like somehow he has this power to give you what you desire. And they cut the trailer in a specific way where they say that, and then Wonder Woman sees Steve Trevor again. So it's almost like, I don't know if he's like a self-help guru or he has little stadium shows or what.
Because the way the trailer was cut, so you have Pedro Pascal, Maxwell Lord, and he has some sort of way of giving you what you want. Then Steve Trevor's back. But then you have Cheetah, who always wanted to be an apex predator. And I feel like you see her be a normal person, and then you see her face off with Wonder Woman in the White House, and she's got more powers somehow. Then you get to the end, and she's full on Cheetah. So I feel like.
And I can actually play that trailer while we're talking about it too. I have little clips. I have little clips ready for us. So let's see here. Technology. Wonder Woman. Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think what I got most out of this trailer and what's going to make it most interesting, whatever makes Cheetah, whatever power it is Max Lord has, it's the same power that brings Steve Trevor back. So know Wonder Woman is going to have to make some sort of sacrifice. Steve Trevor's going to have to go. And I think that's going to be interesting. It
is going to be interesting, and it's going to make his return make some sense in the story. So there's the White House fight you were talking about.
Yeah.
I love these modern action scenes too, because we get to see a lot of what she used to do, but now you have it modern context. It's like, oh, she's still badass.
Yeah. No, it's so, and I love that when she was stuck between the cars and with her legs, she pushed those other cars out of the way. That was cool. Yep. That shot there with the wind around Max Lord. What is that? It's whatever power he's got. Yes.
Barbara, what did you do?
I love this.
Grabbing her just by the scruff of her neck.
Gotta love it.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, that trailer was really well done. My least favorite of DC fandom, because the other ones were just that much better. But that trailer was absolutely incredible. And I wish we've already gotten this movie so you and me could actually be talking about the movie, but October.
Huge missed opportunity, because me and Uncle Sean actually said this when we had our first trailer, that they should play Metallica's Ride the Lightning when she's riding the lightning bolts.
And they didn't do it again.
I need to recut the trailer and have it like the Cody Leach cut.
You should, and then you'll get dinged though when you put that up on YouTube, but it'll be worth it.
It will be worth it. I'll take the 0. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't say that the panel elevated that excitement. I mean, I really love the first Wonder Woman. I'm excited for this one. It looks like Cheetah's going to be a pretty cool villain. That's the main thing that I hear held against the first movie, is everyone's like, Ares is a lame villain. I don't think he's a lame villain, but he's certainly not the strongest. But if you correct that with somebody like Cheetah, that looks like it's going to be a pretty cool villain. And then the speculation you were talking about with Steve Trevor about having to sacrifice him yet again, but for some greater good, that'll be a nice emotional weight to that character again, because obviously he's not around when Justice League and BVS comes around, so he's going to go back in the bottle somehow.
And they can't retcon it that much. And now that we're getting that Snyder Justice League, and we'll speculate when we get there, it's kind of like you don't want to mess with that timeline too much. You don't want to retcon anything major. So it will be very interesting, because he does have to go. and it'll be very interesting to see why he has to go.
Absolutely. Gotcha. So that's pretty much all I have to say on Wonder Woman 84. Again, it was a cool second trailer. I've seen enough. I don't need to see any more. Don't delay it for another year or anything like that. But I think February. Is it February when it's coming out? February, March?
I think it's October. October, they're aiming to release this thing.
Okay, cool.
So here's the funny thing. All of you guys are all messaging about how you're getting your Tenet tickets and your New Mutant tickets. I'm in California and everything is still shut down. I'm so... We better be good by the time we get to October.
Yes, we better. We better. So moving on from that is dipping into some video games. Gotham Knights. So you had WB Games Montreal. We all knew that they had some game in the works. There was speculation it was going to be a Batman game based off of Court of Owls storyline. And then they kind of pull the rug out from underneath us and say, nope, Batman's dead in our game. This is just going to be about Robin, Batgirl, Red Hood, and Nightwing, the Gotham Knights coming in to take the mantle of the Bat. Now, what was confusing as hell for me, as a huge fan of the Batman Arkham games, which I know you are as well, is they start off this trailer for this game showing the tape of Bruce Wayne, like, if you see this, this means that I am dead, and the Batcave has been imploded, and it is all up to you. And I'm like, so this continues right off of Gotham or Arkham Knight. That's cool. And then you see Batgirl and Barbara Gordon walking around. You're like, well, hang on. She was crippled. She was Oracle. And Jim is dead, so the GCPD doesn't trust us. And I'm like, Jim Gordon was alive. What's going on here? So I don't know. It seems like it must be an Elseworld storyline, just a random Batman storyline. But it's so stylistically tied to the Arkham games that to me it was so weird. I need some explanation because obviously this isn't going to take place after Arkham Knight. But you splice the beginning of this game with the end of Arkham Knight, and it just flows. So it's like,
it does.
That was really confusing for me. But moving past all that confusion, sweet. That's pretty much all I have to say. So it looks like it's going to be co-op. I don't know if it's going to be online only. I can't see a game as fluid as Arkham game, the Arkham games working with the little split screen. So I think it's going to be you and maybe a couple online friends can join in where you choose your character and you get to have Batman Arkham gameplay. Possibly, I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be like Arkham Knight where it's not co-op, but you can just switch characters like you could switch to Catwoman. But I also have a clip for that we could show while we keep talking.
Yeah.
But so it was cool. It was nice. It was something to where I wasn't expecting it not to have Batman. But at the same time, it was cool enough to where it's not like I missed him. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So we get to hang out with some of these other heroes.
Yeah. And what amazed me was, so I missed this panel altogether, and I missed the trailer altogether. So, as we're getting ready to record, I'm watching the trailer, and it was the same. I can only echo what you said. The way it picked up, it's like, oh, cool. The Arkham Knight storyline continued. Oh, nope, that's really confusing because Barbara is walking. So, like I assume this is just standalone and Elseworld. I love, though, how similar it is to the Arkham series because I love the gameplay of the Arkham series. And as I'm looking at the graphics right there, right now, like I can't look up at my camera because I can't take my eyes away from how cool that looks.
Absolutely. And I spliced a little clip at the end there. It is actually going to have the Court of Owls, too. So it's not going to be Batman versus the Court of Owls, but the Court of Owls are going to be in Gotham Knight.
I predict there's going to be a twist in this game. I think Batman's alive.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm assuming he's alive even after Arkham Knight. I mean, I think that's just a ruse. I don't think Batman's like, all right, well, I'm done. It's just.
He's in there somewhere.
Exactly. But, so I don't know if you've played a lot of the DLC. I've played as all four of these characters already in DLC. So you had Red Hood in Arkham Knight. I believe all of them were in Arkham Knight, actually. So you get to play as Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl in their own separate little storylines, and then Red Hood had a small little DLC. So
played Arkham Knight because my brother-in-law had it, and so I played it through with him and saw the ending, saw the entire story, but I didn't get too much time with it to play with the other characters like I did with Arkham Asylum and what was the sequel called? Arkham City. Arkham City was a lot of fun, and I played as all the different characters. Like, I had a blast with Arkham City. So Arkham Knights, I didn't get to play through that same way because I never had a PS4, but I did play it through with my brother-in-law, and it's an awesome game. I just didn't get to play as those other characters.
AZ's cards for president, because I totally agree. Can we just say F 2020 and go straight to 2021? Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll hop on the DeLorean today. I love my kids, but I think I'll still love them when they're 6 months older. So let's just go ahead and just wipe the slate clean. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. This one, I believe, comes out next year. We'll talk about another game that's going to be a bit longer of a wait. But Gotham Knights looks like it's coming out next year. Montreal, I thought, did a really good job with Batman Arkham Origins. It was one of the lesser games compared to the Rocksteady games, but I still think it was a pretty damn good game in itself. So they've had, 5-6 years to learn from that. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm excited about it. Give me more Batman games. I'm a happy guy.
Me too. I would love a Superman game, but that's a
we've talked about that. We've talked about that. If this goes really well and the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League goes well, there's no excuse, Rocksteady. You need to do a Superman game next. Quit teasing us. So moving on from that was one of the smaller panels. I only caught a little bit of it, and that's the Flash. So they had Andy Muschietti on there, the director, I believe the writer as well, but I'm not positive. And then you had Ezra Miller in there and a couple other people. I don't know if they were castmates or just people working on the film, but I only caught it like halfway in. So they were doing like flash facts. And as soon as I joined, it looked like the gist of this panel was basically, we're blowing the doors off for multiverse stuff. This movie is going to kick the doors open, and from here on out, we're going to be able to play in so many different sandboxes. They were showing clips of the Watchmen TV show. They were showing clips of Michael Keaton Batman, Affleck Batman, all that other different stuff. So we kind of knew that walking in. As soon as they said, hey, we're going to have Michael Keaton and Affleck in this movie, which who knows? I don't know if they were planning to announce that here or not, or if that was a leak. But as soon as we talked about that on our last episode a couple of days ago, we kind of expected that. This is the Flash's movie, kind of, but it's also kind of a backdoor, hey, we could do all this other cool stuff too. Now move out of the way. So, yeah, I didn't catch very much of it. It didn't look like they gave a whole lot of plot details away at all. They were just talking about multiverse stuff. They didn't address the Ezra Miller stuff that we were talking about, the choking or anything. So that was another interesting thing.
They would want to. It's so weird that we all know about it. Therefore, speculation and rumors are running rampant. And they had every opportunity to end speculation and end rumors. And he could have been like, I apologize. All those things. And it could be done. But instead, no, let's keep putting that in the dark. And it's like, no, the dark is where the rumors are. You don't want to do that.
Exactly. Uncle Sean got a pretty viral tweet this weekend where he had said something like, I wonder why they're making him sound so nice and quirky in this panel. And the haters just came in droves and they were like, oh, you're one of those. And just they were it was kind of entertaining. I jumped in here and there and was just kind of making jokes. But you got a lot of people. You have people that you have three sides of the story. You have cancel culture people that are like, make him go into a dark cave and never come out again. You have the opposite end, people who are sick of cancel culture and are like, who cares? I just want to see the Flash movie. Leave the guy alone. Cancel culture is ridiculous. And then you have in the middle, which I think you and I and Uncle Sean belong to, where it's like, I'm tired of cancel culture, but there's also a really weird video and a story here that somebody needs to address. At least make the rumors and the speculation go away, if nothing else. Yeah, so that was interesting.
I'm on side number 3. I liked Ezra Miller in Justice League. He was one of the highlights for me. So, I mean, I look forward to seeing him as the Flash. It's just, it makes it so weird. Like we talked about in our other live thing where, they're firing people for tweets that are 10 years old and they're sweeping this under the rug. My wife pointed out, he's not just involved with this Warner property. He's involved with all the, Wizarding World Harry Potter stuff. And it's like, I don't want to be that conspiracy theorist guy, and I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just saying it's.
Well, you and I thought the same thing when we saw it. We were like, "This looks weird. This is like a stage joke, or it's like a 20-minute video that this 5-6 seconds of it got cut out of context, and it just made to look weird." And he probably just laid her down gently, and they're messing around. But then you hear all these police reports. Yeah, you had all these police reports come out, and it's like, oh, there actually was assault charges. There actually was people being removed. Okay, that brings a little bit of weirdness. So that was weird that didn't get addressed. And I'm curious how long they're going to go without addressing it. I don't know if they're trying to shield it with Batman news. or what's
Which
going
if they
on.
are, hey, success. I'm
Yeah.
excited about Batman.
Exactly. Somebody else choke somebody. I want some more Batman stuff in here. So yeah, it's odd. But as far as the panel itself, I would have liked to have seen more. But what we did get was a couple of still images, which I have. So the first one that they showed was this here. They said that the Flash is getting a new suit, which is designed by Bruce Wayne. Didn't specify if it was Keaton or Affleck. Obviously, Affleck designed the one that he wore in Justice League, but
Yeah.
this one looks a little more classic, a little more traditional.
It looks really cool.
And it's got this little LED lights kind of going through his suit where the powers have gone through. And then they followed it up with this, which kind of made the airwaves pretty big, which was Batman and him. And if you zoom in on the picture, it's definitely 1989 Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like old man Keaton, even though it's just a concept art, but it's a really cool image that we were all going nuts about Affleck coming back, and Keaton kind of became the secondary story. But you look at a picture like this and you're like, that actually is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we got out of the Flash, was a couple of still images. Not a whole lot other than that.
Otherwise, we knew it all. And I'm looking forward to the multiverse thing. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. And, we know the MCU's, gearing up to go that direction too. So it's like everybody's kind of going in that direction at the same time. But like you said, this is the day of DC now. It is. I think DC is going to shine with the multiverse because they have a lot of great properties, and to take all of those properties and to tie them together so that we can play with them all again, it's going to be brilliant.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. So yeah, I'm not more excited after this panel. My excitement pretty much peaked whenever we got the announcement a couple of days ago that Affleck was returning. And I'm waiting to see what more is going to come with this Flash movie. It feels like we've been talking about the Flash movie for a couple of years. So Andy Muschietti hasn't left the project yet. So
that's a good sign.
We're looking up. Moving on from that is Durban's favorite, and that is the Suicide Squad.
How did that happen?
I don't know. That was interesting.
I mean, just James Gunn and the cast, like when he's introducing the cast and seeing Guardians of the Galaxy people showing up in Suicide Squad. He gave a description, and I hope I'm giving it right. It has like that 70s war movie vibe.
Yeah, it's going off like Dirty Dozen type thing.
Yeah, and I'm just listening to this, and I'm listening to the cast and the way they framed everything, and no trailer or anything, but just that awesome behind the scenes footage they showed us. Mm-hmm. I am suddenly interested in this movie where I just could have cared less because I really did not like the first one. Good job, James Gunn. Mm-hmm. You got me excited, and I'm looking forward to your movie.
The funny thing about it is that, DC thus far has gone very far into like modernizing a lot of things, modernizing the costumes, making things more grounded, more mythic. And then James Gunn says, nah, screw that. We're going to go ultra weird and just do the straight up adaptations of these crazy little characters that look like they came out of a 70s cartoon. And like we're going to make it make sense. Yeah, the Polka Dot Man, even John Cena's character where he's got this little metal condom on his head. And it's just like, it's
like, yes.
You look at it and it's like, this shouldn't work, but it works. Yes. When you have somebody like James Gunn that's just a pro at having the ultra weird and just making it work, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm excited for it. I had no idea what to expect from this. I mean, when they said James Gunn's going to come over, it was kind of a cool story because he got fired from Disney and then went over to DC, and they're like, okay, here, take this, have fun with it. So you have that little swan song there. The fact that he was like fleshing out the cast completely with a bunch of different characters, interesting. You see the throwback logo sitting in front of us right there, which is totally like Dirty Dozen. And didn't really know much more beyond that. And I have the clips, a couple of clips spliced together. They basically gave like a behind the scenes little look. It wasn't really like a full on trailer, but they gave a lot of stuff to chew on as far as what to look at. I don't really have any audio in this one, but you see a lot of images that it looks straight up like a war movie. So I don't know exactly what the story is, but it's just basically we're going to get all these crazy characters together, give them guns, give them grenades, and just let them have fun for 2 hours. And you even see, like, I love the fact that they brought Rick Flag back. I love the fact we got
He
Harley
looks
Quinn
10
back.
times better than he did in the first one too. Like
Oh,
Rick Flag was
absolutely.
one of my least favorite characters, and just even his look in this behind the scenes stuff, I'm like, huh, that
Yeah.
is such an improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it looks really cool to me. I don't know what the story is, but just it looks so zany. It looks almost like you take the Dirty Dozen and Kick-Ass and just made some kind of like a child out of that. And when you have somebody like James Gunn, who famously, well, I won't say famously. Actually, I think Uncle Sean's more famous for this, but not really a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because you got to see a lot more of that darker side of James Gunn come out, and it felt a little weird. This, you can get as dark as you want, and it's going to make sense. You have a giant shark walking around. If he's going to bite the head off of Rick Flag in Act 3 and he's down for the count, you're going to be like, okay, makes sense here, and just kind of go with it. So, so you get a director, a writer that just works with this type of material, and it looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So this movie,
whole war movie vibe, is kind of what has me the most interested, because I'm just sitting here. Are they being used as mercenaries? It's so crazy to think, what are they being used for in this movie? Like that whole thing. Like, I'm down, and so I'm looking forward to James Gunn's, his feel, the vibe that he brings those type of movies with this. And the thing that makes me laugh is the fact that I really do feel like the first Suicide Squad was trying to be DC's dark version of Guardians of the Galaxy.
It was,
like,
absolutely,
with the music, and it felt like it was going for that rock opera feel, and the way they put the characters together. Like, it really felt like, yeah, we're trying to make this Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, ironically, the Guardians of the Galaxy director is doing the Suicide Squad, and I feel like now we're going to get the Suicide Squad as it should feel. Absolutely.
Thank you, Balboa, for the super chat.
Oh, thank you so much.
So yeah, I agree with you. James Gunn, it always helps a lot whenever, like, they were asking questions on the panel before they showed the clip, and they're asking James Gunn, like, where was your love from Suicide Squad? What were the first couple of things? And then he says, oh, I was there from issue 1. I bought issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. When you see somebody like that that's been there from the beginning and knows just how this property breathes, you have a lot more faith in them. Like, James Gunn doesn't have to sell me at all, but as soon as he says, like, oh, I've been there since day 1, it's like, okay, all right, cool. I don't think David Ayer was. So I think I'm going to put all my faith in you. And it was cool to see David Ayer, like, retweet the trailer or the clips or whatever and have, like, a heart, like, cool. Good job, guys.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he seems like a pretty cool dude. Good sport. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to the Suicide Squad.
Definitely.
Moving on from that, we have what should have been, for me, probably one of the more exciting panels and trailers. But this trailer didn't do a whole lot for me. I don't know why. We'll get into why. But I did. This was one of the ones that I caught a lot of the panel. It was basically Zack Snyder just on, like, a live conference or whatever, asking or answering some fan questions. I always like listening to Zack Snyder talk. He just seems like a cool dude. So he was kind of talking about it and obviously still very humbled the fact that he gets to do this, that this is actually becoming a reality, something he's fought for a long time. But I'll go ahead and play the trailer clip. So the trailer essentially was some scenes that we've seen before, like in the old trailers, some new stuff, obviously, but it was all cut with this rendition of Hallelujah that I absolutely hated. That's what killed it for me. I still enjoyed the trailer for all what we saw because I'm like, okay, cool. But you kind of went with the ironic lyrics of Hallelujah, we get Zack Snyder's Justice League, versus putting, like, some epic music in there and, like, having it go all the way through to get me pumped up. I was just like, they had a leak beforehand, and I started watching the leak trailer and I saw, like, maybe 15 seconds of it, and I'm like, this has to be a fake trailer. That song is horrible. And I stopped watching it. And then I watched the panel and it starts and it's Hallelujah. I was like, that was the real trailer. So it just didn't work for me. I don't know why.
See, I didn't mind that song very much, and I think I enjoyed the ironic use of that song because there's a small part of me that's like, hallelujah, we're getting it. And I like that shot right there. Like, he looks very awesome. CG, but it was still very awesome to see it. And then to connect it with the emotion of the death of Superman there. But I love this shot here because, look, you see the Justice League Arch Joker card. That's a Joker card. And so, like, all the little Easter eggs you can find as you're looking through this footage. I'm assuming
this is Iris West.
Yep, that's Iris West when he rushes out to save her. And I'm assuming that's the Flash. I don't know who that is. It reminds me a little of MCU, but, that was still cool. But I love this trailer just because of all like this right here. Look at it. Look at his
Yeah.
armor move like living flesh.
Well, he looks
I
like he did in
love that.
BVS when he had that little spot at the
Yeah.
end that then he got Batman blocking blows.
Yeah, that was cool to watch him blocking those blows. I love the emotion just in that. Like that was cool looking. I love the black suit Superman here. Sorry, I'm just watching these clips
Oh
and
yeah,
picking it apart as we go. But
absolutely.
it's just for me wanting that vision because Justice League was not a sequel to Batman vs Superman. It really was not. It was kind of its own little thing that had to raise Superman from the dead because that did happen. Otherwise, it didn't feel like a true sequel.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a mess. And whether you look at this trailer and it gives you hope, or you look at this trailer and you just like it looks just as bad another way. In my mind, it's like it doesn't matter. At least I'm not going to get a ugly, patched up film. I'm going to get what was supposed to happen after Batman vs Superman. And I am so encouraged to see Steppenwolf looking how he looked and get those shots of Darkseid and all the like the Joker card blowing in the wind. You know, when they cut to the future, it's like this is a fleshed out DC world, and I'm excited to get that.
Absolutely. And you got a lot of other information in there too. So like you confirm that it's going to be released in 4 parts, 4-hour-long episodes, if you will. And then they're going to have a cut where all of it's put together. Eventually going to have some kind of a physical media cut that they're going to put out. So that's good because I love my Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But so they confirmed that. And they're also, I want to say there was right here. Okay. So the guy that they showed in the hood is another villain that I've never seen before, but
he reminded me of the guy in
Desaad, I believe, is what Jessica Polk. I don't know if
Infinity War. That Vision stabs from behind. He reminded me of that guy.
Yeah, he's like a disciple or something like that. He's another one of the guys that is underneath Darkseid. But yeah, so I loved seeing Darkseid for that little bit. That was really cool. Just seeing that. It looks like we're gonna get
dad blowing up. What on earth was that?
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the Joss Whedon cut, so I didn't remember if that was new or not.
The whole way through, helps him out at the end by making a better looking cyborg suit. Very interesting to see a laser in the cube and it blows up Cyborg's dad.
Yeah, that was interesting. So CBMF says it's ironic the rendition of Hallelujah was the same one that he used in Watchmen.
Oh, was it really? I haven't seen Watchmen in so long.
I love Watchmen.
That's a good catch.
Absolutely. So yeah, so you have that Desaad guy who's kind of a new villain I've never heard, I've never seen before. So there's going to be more there. You saw the Barry Allen saving Iris West, so it looks like there's going to be a lot more origin stuff with the other characters. We're probably going to get a little bit more from Aquaman.
Speaking of Barry Allen, there was that one quick shot where he's like standing on a field or some sort of plane, and all like it looked like he was standing still with all this wind going around him, and I'm guessing that's the Speed Force, and he's like stopped inside the Speed Force. I'm curious because he said in that panel that we're going to get some surprises with the Flash. We're going to see the Flash do things we have never seen the Flash do. And so getting that quick shot in the trailer, I am really anxious to see what that is.
I'm curious how they're going to loop back to that scene in BVS where he comes through. Bruce, am I too early? Like they have to at some point.
Oh, I'm positive that opening shot of the trailer with the Justice League arch down on the ground. Like I'm positive that's somehow us looping back, and we're going to get to that Bruce moment. We're going to get there. I just like you. How are they going to connect it? I cannot wait.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm excited as hell for the Justice League Snyder Cut. We just did our 31 on 31, and the Joss Cut was my 31 because it's just a movie that the more we see, the more we hear, the more of a reality this Zack Snyder Cut becomes. It's like that thing is just such a stain. It's like I can't even bring myself to watch it again. I haven't seen it since theaters, and like I said, there was that shot. I couldn't remember if the dad blowing up was in the original cut or not, but
not at all. Nope,
what I liked, what I liked about this trailer is that it showed images that we've seen before, a couple of them, some that we obviously haven't, but it's a movie that looks like it's a cohesive vision. It's a movie that looks like there's a direction that he's going. There's a lot of things he wants to cover. He's now got 4 hours to cover it in. So it's going to take us on a ride. So I'm excited.
Uncle Sean made the best point when I was watching his reaction. I don't know if you watched his reaction or not, but the point that he made was, so you have Justice League, it's under 2 hours, and Zack Snyder has vowed to not use one frame of Joss Whedon. So that eliminates about 45 minutes of that original cut. And now we have a 4-hour epic. So it's a different movie. Like it's going to have the same plot, but it's a different movie.
Oh yeah. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. So do you think, I think we might have discussed this a little bit. Do you think that there's plans for a Justice League 2, like a follow-up to this? Do you think that there's things that he's got in, like maybe that scene with the Flash, that to me, I always got the vibes was like a Injustice Gods Among Us type thing, which they hinted at slightly with that nightmare scene in BVS. But I'm curious if there's going to be something left for like an Injustice movie or a Justice League 2 or some other movie that he had in his head planned out that maybe he's making some backdoor deals right now. Like, all right, do you make a lot of money with this? We're doing this next.
You know, honestly, whether he's making deals or not, or whether there's a plan or not, I know the original plan was Justice League was going to be a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
And so the version we're going to get, I'm not even sure if that's the version that was the 2-parter, because I know they changed everything so flippin' much.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is that version with the 2-parter, just give me that ending. That is a cliffhanger. Just let it end that way, whether we even get a part 2 ever or not. Give me as close as we are going to get to what that original plan was. That's what I want. And I have a sneaking suspicion if this does really well for HBO Max, we'll get more.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you on that. So moving on from that was actually one of the panels that I think had the least to say as far as I'm concerned. I didn't watch the panel. I just kind of waited to see what came out of it. And that's Black Adam. So Black Adam is one of those projects.
Not at all.
Black Adam is one of those projects that was announced that feels like a decade ago, like back when they were announcing the first slate of like 10 movies, and The Rock
and then
was cast.
Changing all of that stuff.
Yeah, The Rock was cast. This kind of felt like a panel where they're like, no, The Rock's still going to be Black Adam at some point. I have the clip that they had, which was basically just like a pre-rendered cutscene from like God of War or something like that. It was kind of how it looked. So this is basically all we got out of Black Adam was this.
And those are cool shots and images. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, The Rock is awesome. The Rock looks cool as a villain. I'd like to see him play more villainous roles. He's been hyping up and attached to this character for so long that you got to think he's got a lot of passion behind it. Because anybody else in Hollywood would have left this thing 5 years ago and like, okay, you're still have no idea what you're going to do? Okay, never mind. I'm going to go on to Fast 12. So
he could have done that anytime. Yeah,
exactly. So that's about all I got out of it was like, okay, Black Adam's still coming. The Rock is still playing him, and Black Adam is still coming. They're going to do a Shazam 2, which I don't have covered here. We could talk about that kind of in here. They said it was
Shazam.
It
works here because Shazam is just Shazam Fury of the Gods, and there was really nothing out of that panel other than witty banter, making jokes about the fact that they had all just read the scripts, but they're not allowed to say anything, and all they could give was the title Shazam Fury of the Gods, which I think feels like it's going to have to introduce Black Adam.
It's going to have to introduce Black Adam at least. Like he's going to have to come in or be a post-credit scene or be the cliffhanger like Superman was in the first one, something. And I loved Shazam. I loved that movie way more than I thought I ever had the possibility to. I think you had a similar reaction because for a long time we were like, I don't even care about that, whatever. So enjoyed the hell out of Shazam. If they have the same level of quality with the second one, I'm looking forward to seeing that guy go toe-to-toe with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But I just know nothing about the character. I know nothing about this movie, nothing about the story, nothing about what they're going to do. Is this going to be a villain origin? Is this going to be a guy who's just misunderstood and he's kind of a villain but kind of a good guy? I don't know. I have no idea.
I did see a cool animated movie where it was pretty much Superman versus Black Adam, and they threw Shazam in there. And it was kind of cool because Shazam ended up learning a lot from Superman as they teamed up together against Black Adam. And one of the things that puts Superman on an equal footing with somebody is if they got magic, because he's as susceptible to magic as we are. And that's Black Adam and Shazam. They're both magical characters. And so that was a pretty good animated movie. And I would love to see something similar in a live action film with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson versus Henry Cavill. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's going to be high on my list as well. Sebastian comes in with $50. Damn, dude. Thank you so much. Which Marvel and DC hero and villain would you want to have a big budget standalone movie? So if you have one right away, go ahead and chime in, but I got to think for a minute. Which one?
I have one for DC right away. I have to think about Marvel, but the one for DC I want right away is I want them to take Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 1 and adapt that into a DCEU movie. That is probably one of the best takes I've seen on the mythology of Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps I have ever read, and I would love to see that. And the tone of it fits so well into that Snyder tone of the DCEU. So I need that movie.
Cool. I can only think of Marvel at the moment because we're getting a lot of DC stuff that I'm like, I would have picked this. Marvel, I still want a Punisher movie. I still want a Punisher movie. I know that we had our Bernthal era. It looks like it's probably going to be over forever, but I still want a Punisher movie. And as far as villains, that's another tough one. So, like, I would love Dr. Doom, I think would be a cool villain because obviously they have access. He's a huge villain. I mean, he could potentially be like the Thanos of the next couple of phases if they wanted to set him up that way. So I would want to see either of those two.
If for a DC villain standalone movie, if they did Lex Luthor, but I think the thing that would make Lex Luthor compelling is one of the most compelling things about Smallville was always that relationship between Lex Luthor and his father, Lionel Luthor. And half that reason it was so compelling was it was so well written, but the actors were so amazing and they're back and forth with each other. If they could find some possible way to do that in a Lex Luthor movie of him rising to power, that would be really interesting to me.
Absolutely. So Jessica Polk says something that I've kind of talked about for a while. She says Riddler gets a Saw-like film, which is funny because I've said for a long time, ever since Arkham games where you started to see these death traps that the Riddler would set, I've said for a long time, I want to see a version of the Riddler that's the psychopathic tinkerer that murders people. And we're going to get there. It looks like we might be getting it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. So moving on from Black Adam that we have nothing to say about. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. So this is the other big video game project that was announced. We pretty much knew this one walking in because they released the poster with the target on Superman's head, which is really cool. That says enough. So this actually is a part of the Arkham verse. This is maybe after Arkham Knight or somewhere in between, but it is a part of those games and a part of that storyline. Where you have the Suicide Squad. I don't know if these are the only characters, but in the trailer, you had Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, King Shark, and Deadshot.
You know what was weird? And maybe you know this, and because I never knew Boomerang had any power other than he threw his boomerang.
Neither did I.
In this trailer, he's moving around like the Flash, tossing his boomerang, running over, catching it, and tossing it again. And I'm like,
which makes sense for the video game because I mean, even Harley Quinn, it's like, okay, you're going to send Harley Quinn after Superman. So it's I don't know. It's one of those things where Suicide Squad's always weird because you have people like Harley Quinn or a dude that throws a boomerang and you're going to send him after the most powerful beings on the planet. So it's a little strange. But this one, they didn't show any actual gameplay. This was all just like a cutscene trailer. But it was funny because it has the humor that you would expect from Suicide Squad, where Amanda Waller's like, you got to get the target. And she's just sitting there like playing with her fingers. And Deadshot is obviously getting modeled more after the Will Smith Deadshot, not just because he's black, but just the suit and everything. We saw Deadshot in the Arkham games and it was a totally different guy, which is the only part that was weird where I'm like, okay, so this is a part, but that's not Deadshot that we saw. I digress. So you have that.
Nice for me? I hadn't seen the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League poster yet, so I didn't realize that's what that game was going to be. So I just happened to turn on the Fandom event right when that trailer was kicking off. And as soon as you saw Brainiac's ship and it was in Metropolis, I went, no, is Rocksteady giving me a Superman game? And then I was immediately disappointed that it wasn't. But then, like seeing them trying to kill Superman and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, I could see myself getting this game and playing it. This looks really, really interesting. So for me, it was a really cool experience to go into this 100% blind and have all my hopes up. I was getting a Superman game, be utterly dashed, and then immediately pick back up. So it was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. That would have been – I want both. Selfishly, I want both. But, yeah, I had fun with it. I got some of the clips here, so we can look at a little bit of it. But that's what you were talking about, how he's kind of zipping around. You got Harley Quinn doing her thing.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's thing is pretty cool. King Shark is like, I just watched the Harley Quinn animated show, and King Shark is hilarious on that show. So now I have more interest in that character, and he looks kind of interesting in this.
This was the part that was crazy because it was like, wait a minute, Superman just killed that dude. It's like, it's Injustice Superman. And this is the part that cracks me up.
So, figure out who we're killing yet?
Yep.
Oh,
And then I love this. Did you get the little part where they actually throw the boomerang at his head and it does nothing?
Yeah, it hits him in the back and he's just like,
yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a game trailer that showed no gameplay. So I really don't know what the gameplay is going to be. Is it going to be Arkham fighting?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but just
As
they
a
sold me on the
film,
concept.
I would watch that for sure. So I will
Absolutely.
be curious about the actual gameplay. So, 2022, and you guys said it best when
that's
we were
the
on
other
our
part.
Facebook Messenger, like, where it's like, seriously, that much hype for a game coming out in 2022?
I hate that they do that, and they do it so often with video games. They really don't do it with movies that much anymore. They kind of know that their marketing kind of bleeds out by then, but video games, man, they have no shame about showing you this awesome trailer and then saying 3 years later you get to play it, and it's like, could you just show me that in 2 years? I would have been fine not knowing about this until 2021. But yeah, when I saw 2022, I was like, oh, come on. Just the next 4 months of 2020 is going to feel like a year in itself, and then I have another year on top of that.
I mean, I already feel like 2020 has been 5 years long, but each month has felt like a full year in of itself. And now you're telling me this is all the way out there in 2022? I mean, I look back at February and I call that the before time. We don't know how much longer is left of this time. And you're dangling that out there like 2022 and the distant, far-reaching future. Are we even going to get there? Come on.
Yeah, which sucks too, because I mean, video games nowadays constantly get delayed, especially all the AAA titles. So really, when they say 2022, it's like maybe 2022, possibly 2023. And then you have the whole COVID thing added into that, and it's like maybe 2024. Who knows? I mean, we're just who knows?
Time for the PlayStation 6 Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
Absolutely. I mean, they did it with The Last of Us Part 2, where it was like, this might come out now, and then it's like, oh, no, it's going to come out a year from now. Oh, it might not even come out for the PS4 generation. And then it finally dropped. So, yeah, I don't know. That was the one thing that kind of brought me down from my high. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. When?
What?
Oh, man. But, yeah, looks like it's going to be fun. I have no reason to doubt Rocksteady.
Yeah.
And now we move on to what's probably going to take up the meat of our conversation.
Yes.
The Batman.
Oh, my gosh.
I will say this. I expected so little as far as what they actually had available to show us that I pretty much almost forgot that this panel was even going to be on. It was the last panel. It was late. It was like 7:30 at night, something like that, maybe 8 o'clock. I had actually just went out for like an hour and a half with Holly, and we went and checked out a few things and got some dinner and came back. And I just happened to sit on the couch. I was like, oh, the Batman panel. I'll see what they're talking about. And I turned it on. And you get Matt Reeves, which I will say by far out of all the panels I saw, he was the most entertaining to watch because he just had so much passion behind all the answers and so much insight into what his version of Batman is and what he wants to do and how he wants to change things. And then you get that trailer. And I did not expect a trailer, first of all.
I did not either. 25% of the movie is filmed.
Yeah, and that's all they had. That's what I'm saying. So either they filmed all of the best parts of the movie, or there's so much more that they haven't even filmed, and this is just this. We've only got a little bit, but it's already this awesome. And man, like I was telling you before we went live, like I don't do trailer reactions hardly ever. I had to do one for this, so I dropped one for that. And beyond that, I don't even really like even watching trailers anymore, because by the time you see the trailer, 9 times out of 10, you've seen most of the movie, or something gets spoiled, or you could chime in on Twitter and basically get the gist of what will happen in the trailer. And I've watched this trailer 8 or 9 times. And I have not watched a trailer that many times, I think, since maybe the first year I was on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
it's been a long time, like you, since I've done that with a trailer. I mean, I used to on YouTube, I have on my channel kind of my own private little locked playlist where it's all of my favorite trailers, but that quit like 3 or 4 years ago. And I just haven't cared about trailers as much since then, because like they spoil stuff. This thing dropped. I watched it 8 or 9 times this morning while I was waiting for you to give me the link to do this live thing. And I was just like, I mean, the music in this trailer is the perfect fit, and just the tone of it. But like you were saying about the Riddler, finally getting that Saw version of the Riddler, to open with him and that duct tape. And as we see in the graphic, getting it right there, that dude's head, like, it's like, what is this movie?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it opens up the first
the riddles.
Yeah, it opens up, and the first opening scene is like, is this 7? Is this a sequel of 7? Like, what's going on? It's just a dude pulling out duct tape. There's a dead body there, and he's got like some goggles, and he's got like a mask, almost looks like Hush. And and I was just like, what is this? This is interesting. And then you start to see the riddles, and I'm like, that was the Riddler. That's the Riddler I've wanted for so long. And then you see, and we're going to get into, we have a lot to cover with the Batman, but then you get to see Robert Pattinson, like whenever Jim Gordon, which by the way, oh man, why am I forgetting the actor's name?
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. I wanted to say Jeffries. Jeffrey Wright looks awesome as Gordon,
and
he's a great actor. So you see, he's like, does this mean anything to you? And they just see that shot, and it's just Robert Pattinson walking, and I'm like, now that bat suit looks pretty awesome.
Oh, isn't it funny? It was just, even before you got to him really fighting somebody, which I can't wait till we talk about that, but just him doing a slow walk towards Gordon, you look at that and you're like, oh, that suit totally works. If there was ever an ounce of doubt about anything, just him taking 3 steps towards Gordon has ended all of it. It was so amazing looking.
Absolutely. And I didn't hate the reveal in that little test footage that was all red. I thought it was a lot. Yeah, you didn't see a lot, and the red really accentuated the Daredevil style mask or the cowl where it looked a little leatherish, and I was like, I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see. You learn as a YouTuber, wait till you see it in action before you really get passionate one way or the other.
Well,
as soon as you see it
that a long time ago with the Joker.
God. Yeah. So you see it in action, and I was like, sold. I love the suit. That you get to see a little bit more with the Riddler. Clearly, the Riddler, at least, unless that's just because that's all the footage they had to mess with, it looks like the Riddler is the main villain of the movie. Where he's toying with Batman, he's murdering people, leaving these clues. There's this murder mystery 7 style, noir thing going on, which I love. They're going to get a lot more World's Greatest Detective stuff.
Well,
you get to see snippets
at the end where he says, you're part of this. And Bruce Wayne's like, how? And you'll see. So, I'm guessing from what we can get here, Riddler is the main villain. And there's something with all of this corruption, which is going to tie in all of our other villains and give them good roles. And somehow Batman is a part of this giant riddle that is this film.
Absolutely. And he was also saying, Matt Reeves, that this is a year 2 Batman, which I was like, oh, thank God. We don't have to see the damn pearls again. So I think I'm with everybody. I'm like, okay, the Batman origin is common knowledge at this point. We never need to see it again. And I love the fact that he's like, oh no, we're 2 years in. So it's young enough to where these villains like Proto Riddler here are just kind of starting to rise. They're not just set in stone. They're already the comic accurate villains. So we get to have some place to go, some place to ascend to. But you also have this darkness with Batman to where he's still young. In the fight scene that we're going to talk about, he's brutal to where almost to a point where it's like, oh, you could have stopped. You probably went a little too far there, but cool. And the citizens of Gotham don't even really know how to take him. It's like they're still scared of him because he's not like this proven hero who's saved Gotham for the past 10 years. He's this guy who's working outside of the law and beating people to a bloody pulp. So all of that, like, you couldn't have told me anything else that could have got me more on board with what you're doing story-wise. And I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip. So I've got some of the trailer.
Yeah, the best we could do is just commentate as it goes, right? Because it's
absolutely
just so much to dive into.
So I have kind of the greatest hits of some of the stuff here. There's the Riddler.
That's creepy. I love it.
Loved all of that. Love the sounds with it.
Doesn't it? This and so
absolutely.
Many other things. Yeah.
Absolutely. It looks like it could be rated R. And here's our right there. I was just like, I'm in.
So amazing.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Catwoman, get to see a little bit of her. She's still proto kind of Catwoman as well.
What's cool about Catwoman is that fight right there. Is that's the first place where we see him really kind of fight and move.
And here we are.
Right here.
The hell are you supposed to be?
It's just every time. Wait for it. Wait for it.
I'm vengeance.
Yes.
Oh, I love that line. To me, that line is so Batman, the animated series. Remember how that opened? I am vengeance. I am the knight. Like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, it just took me right back to that.
Oh man, it was so awesome. So yeah, that was the moment too where they're like, okay, you've seen all these things online about them saying Robert Pattinson can't handle Batman. We need to put this scene in the trailer,
Oh my
and
gosh.
instantly silences haters.
But
Instantly.
how fast he moved. Like,
Yeah.
you watch Ben Affleck and he moves slow. He does move slow. Like the warehouse scene, he is moving kind of slow, but it's still amazing to watch because the suit lets him have mobility. And you're like,
He's a brawler. He's big. He's about how hard he can hit, not how fast. This looks like it's still pretty damn hard, but he's like, he's just like bitch slapping dudes. And
the speed at which it was faster than freaking John Wick. I mean, that guy had no chance. I'm guessing Joker, like that looks like wearing Joker makeup. So does Joker live somewhere in this world?
We'll talk about the images that I have. Aaron Anderson, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And the Batmobile. That in action. Oh my God.
Yes. As soon as I saw that in my reaction, I was like, oh my God, I love the Batmobile.
Yeah.
The flames coming out of it. I was like, oh, I want one.
I mean, the pictures will still melt your face off. It looks so great. But
Absolutely.
like when you saw the suit move, this time when you see the flames shoot out the back, in some ways it goes back to the 1960s, and that Batmobile only makes it even cooler than all of that. So it gives you the right nostalgia with the right set of newness. It's like, where has this been?
Absolutely. So let's go over some of these clips that I have, these still images. So we'll start with the man himself. And yeah, that bat suit is just badass. I love it. I love the way that the cowl looks. I was worried at first. There was a lot of speculation about the ears, that they were going to go like off to the side and have like a weird angle. And I like how it looks modern. It looks tough. And it has, all bat suits have elements of the other suits, but this to me is like, it's just new enough. And the way that the bat symbol looks like it's made out of gun parts or something is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the theory being that it's the gun that killed his parents.
Apparently,
there's a comic line where he took that and put it under his bat symbol, so it was like a shield protecting his heart. And so I think that gives a lot of credence there, that could be the gun that killed his parents that he has taken and shaped into that bat symbol.
Possibly, and that would be,
I love that whole look.
That would be even cooler. And then we have the Riddler. Now, this is the cool. There's a lot of hard, darker shots, and I don't know if that's just this one scene that he looks like that, or if that's what he's going to look like. If I'm not mistaken, the animated movie Batman Hush turned out to be Riddler. And I'm curious if they're going. I'm curious if they're cool. I'm curious if they're going for that. If he's going to be like a version of Hush that eventually becomes the Riddler by the end of the movie, and that way they cover two Batman villains.
I am totally fine with that. It's not that I'm against the green suit and the question marks all over it and stuff, but when you take into account the entire tone of this movie, I feel like that look fits him so much better than wearing a green suit with question marks all over it. We already know he's the Riddler because he's throwing riddles everywhere. He's got the rhyme and all that stuff. But I love that look, and I don't want it to change from that. Like, that just looked really good. Yeah,
it just looks creepy. It looks like there's something behind that garbage bag, whatever the hell he's wearing, that you don't necessarily want to see below it. And Paul Dano's playing him, which he can play creepy very easily. And the way that they have his voice kind of modulated in the trailer, give us the blind eye, or whatever that line was at the end. It's definitely it's a little skin crawling, so it's cool. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but you also brought it up here. Are these Joker thugs?
They look like it, and they look like Heath Ledger Joker thugs, like the way the lipstick, the mouth stuff is going out.
There's a little glass guy. I mean, you got that guy back there with the cross. So I don't know if this is just a gang in Gotham or if this is Joker thugs. I mean, I love the idea, which I think we talked about on our last one. I love the idea of the Joker existing, being a presence that's already there, but not necessarily taking the focus yet. Or, maybe not even for the first two films. Like, he'll encounter these guys, maybe get a hint of it. There might be a Joker card somewhere in the movie, but something to let you know that this dude's here. He's already, business is great in Gotham right now, but we're not going to take anything away from the Riddler or Penguin or whoever else we get in this movie. I really like that. Even if that scene right there is all we get of Joker, of,
me too.
okay, I heard you beat the living piss out of one of my guys in the last movie, so here I am. I mean, that would be enough for me. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of Joker recently. I mean, you got the Leto Joker, we have the Phoenix Joker. I mean, it's so hard to top the Ledger Joker. We've had a lot of Joker, and I'm cool to let that rest for a little bit. We'll get a very cool Joker for this universe. I am very confident in that, but I'm okay with the idea of letting that rest because I like this idea of reinventing some of these other villains that we probably haven't seen since Batman Forever and Batman Returns. Like, when was the last time we saw Penguin live action or Riddler live action? So I'm looking forward to that, and I would love for them to take a Batman villain, maybe like Man-Bat, or I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
The Mad Hatter, like, he's interesting the way he messes with your head. Take villains like that have never been brought to live action. I would love a little bit more of that focus before we return to the Joker.
I'm with you 100%. So the other one that we get, classic Batman villain, is Catwoman here. Kind of a dark picture. Obviously, a lot of the trailer's dark, but clearly she is like leathered up Catwoman. She's just got a simple mask. There's some pointed ears. I don't know if that's just the way the mask is, but just enough to let you know this is Catwoman. You get a snippet of a little fight scene. So I don't know how prominent of a role she's going to have, but I do like the way that she looks so far.
I do too. I think it looks really cool. I'm kind of thinking, well, this is me guessing. Okay, there's no evidence to support this. This is a Durban guess that she will be the love interest, which, as you and I talked about her being the love interest, she's a good Batman love interest. So I kind of hope that's what it is. And it would be, and the way Matt Reeves talked about, this is a Batman who's not seeing the results he wants to see yet. And somehow the Riddler's trying to show him how he's caught up into the mess. And so I wonder if maybe Catwoman straddling the line will help him see the light a little bit and maybe give him the boost he needs.
Absolutely. Aaron Anderson, thank you. You guys rock. Keep up the awesome content. You rock too. Thank you so much for watching. And then right after that, we got Mikey Hartley. Horror movie, comic movie combo. I see many possibilities down the line. Imagine Spawn movie remake someday. Well, there is a Spawn movie being worked on, possibly. Todd McFarlane, the guy that does all of the graphic work and does the Spawn comic, is supposedly trying to hold on to the reins and be the director of this. I don't know if that's going to work or not. You can't really go from comics to directors, but we've seen stranger things happen. But true. Yes, horror movie and comic books all in one. That's why I love Batman.
Yeah.
And the last picture, I did not think anything of this guy in the trailer. I didn't even pay attention to him. I even said in my reaction, I don't think we saw Colin Farrell anyway, maybe for a snippet that I missed. And then I got on Twitter, and there was two somewhat decent-sized accounts that were claiming that this is actually Colin Farrell as Penguin. And I cannot find anywhere whether this is confirmed or denied, but they're saying this guy is Penguin.
I could see a Penguin look to it. I don't see a Colin Farrell look to it.
That's where I'm at. I could see the little bit of a pointed nose, the haircut, the not the best looking dude in the world aspect to fitting the Penguin. But I know what Colin Farrell looks like. So this is either an absolutely incredible transformation through makeup, or it's just simply not the Penguin. And I can't find anything anywhere. And there's fans are equally passionate on one side of the other. You got some people that are replying to these tweets that are going, that's not Colin Farrell. Do you even know what Colin Farrell looks like? And then you got other people that are like, makeup does wonderful things, shut your hole. And it's just, I have no idea. I haven't seen any kind of set photos with how he looks. I have no clue. If this is Colin Farrell, bravo to the makeup department, because my God, that doesn't look like Colin Farrell at all.
Yeah, no, I never, ever would have said that was Penguin or Colin Farrell unless you had pointed it out. So I hadn't seen other people's passionate discussions one way or the other. But in my just casual viewing of it, my viewing has not been casual.
Apparently,
I've watched the trailer several times.
Apparently, it has been confirmed because I have Mikey saying it's been confirmed.
Oh, wow.
I have Eobard saying that's Penguin.
Wow.
Sylvia, it is Colin Farrell. So we either spoke too soon or these guys are up on something that we don't know about. But okay,
well,
so
I
that's
still stand by what I said, because just a casual look at the trailer, I would never have said that's Penguin and that's Colin Farrell. The way it focused on him, I would have figured he was important, but I did not at all think that. But if it's truly confirmed, like they're saying, and I'm not doubting them, then that is amazing. That makeup job is amazing.
It is very much so, because I don't see. I mean, if you paid me $1 million to say, guess what actor this is, I'd be like, Powers Booth. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
would not be saying Colin Farrell.
no,
Wow.
that would be one of my last picks. So yeah, I saw that scene in the trailer, and I saw the one where he's like, "Oh, this guy's crazy," and that's him, and that was it. I was like, "Is this a police chief guy who's corrupt?" I don't know. Obviously, he's going to be a decent character. That's our Penguin, apparently. So either my chat is steering us wrong, or that is the Penguin.
Well, we are definitely going to have to double check that in the news after this, but I mean, he does look like the Penguin. I can see that now. He just doesn't look at all like Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Craziness.
One other shot that has me curious, and I don't think you have the freeze frame of this, but it's the moment in the trailer where it cuts to this press conference. But the first shot of the press conference is that big older dude who's got the beard and the glasses, and he gives this creepy look at the camera and then turns his head to give the press conference that he's giving. And then you have that shot of Bruce Wayne putting on the motorcycle helmet. That guy has such a sinister and creepy look in his eye. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Like, I'm wondering if that's Commissioner Loeb and, he's totally corrupted, or if that's the mayor of Gotham, totally corrupt. Like, I'm looking at that wondering, who is this person and why did he get such a long focus and a long look?
I have no idea, man. But
yeah,
that guy, I thought the same thing. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, what character could that be? We got another super chat from Cordell. Thank you so much. If there is eventually a Joker in this universe, my pick is Jake Gyllenhaal. Keep up the good content, guys. Great actor. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, he is a great actor. He did a great job as Mysterio. So I
loved him as Mysterio.
I'd give him a chance as Joker for sure.
It's Hugo Strange. Now, see, I would believe that. That looks like Hugo Strange too. So there you go. That's another villain I want to see in this universe.
He would be a very cool villain to see. We might have to let that chill, though, since we have a Doctor Strange in Marvel, and somebody's going to get angry about another Strange existing in DC, right? Somebody's going to get mad about that.
Got one here. Colonel Stars and Stripes is played by Jim Carrey, but doesn't look like Jim Carrey at all. I could still see Jim Carrey in him, though. I could still tell that's Jim Carrey with some prosthetics. That doesn't look like Colin Farrell in the slightest.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good... I haven't seen Kick-Ass 2, so I don't really know off the top of my head. Like, I can't... But I remember seeing Jim Carrey in there. But, yeah, no, that dude did not look like Colin Farrell. Gosh.
Yeah.
But he's got that penguin snarl, like, with his lips. He's just got that... Yeah.
Exactly. I think they were saying, too, that they don't call him Penguin, or he gets pissed when people call him Penguin. He's just supposed to be called Cobblepot or something. So we're going to get a lot of villain origins, it seems like, in here. We're going to get a lot of people that are nobody, and then either through this movie or the next couple of movies are going to become these Batman villains, which I'm excited about, because every single superhero movie, for the most part, that you get is you get introduced to the guy who's not the villain, and then by the second act, he's the villain. And he looks exactly how you expect him in the comics. So I like the fact...
great potential. He has great potential to parallel Bruce, because Cobblepot and Wayne are cut from the same cloth. Like, they both come from incredibly rich families. And so now we can watch these two divergent paths coming from tragedy. So there's a lot of potential in Penguin.
Yeah, and, I'm not really a big fan traditionally of the character Penguin. He's always seemed very unthreatening to me, even, no matter what version you've got. It wasn't until the Telltale Batman games that I went, wow, you could actually do some cool things with Penguin, because they do a wildly different take on Penguin. And it looks like they might be going for something along that line here, possibly. I mean, he looks kind of Penguinish, but at the same time, he's not, Danny DeVito.
My favorite take is Batman Earth 1 Volume 1. I love the Earth 1 series. I can't talk enough about that series. But the way they handled Penguin in that one, like, he's weird looking and gross, but he's a true threat to the city because of the power that he's garnered. So it was very interesting the way they depicted Penguin in Batman Earth 1 Volume 1. So I'm looking forward to what takes are they going to bring together for this version.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this immediately jumped up to like my most anticipated of the next year or so. Gosh. I mean, like I had faith in Matt Reeves, and like I was saying in my reaction, everything that they announced sounded good, but I was still hurt because of the Ben Affleck thing. I was still like, I just want Ben back. I want Ben's movie. I want him to write. I want him to direct. I love Matt Reeves. I love the Planet of the Apes movies, but I want to see what Ben can do. And then I saw this trailer, and I'm like, screw Ben. Matt, come on. Wow. What do you got? So we get really excited on Friday. Yeah.
We got Keaton, Batfleck, and Battinson. It's like, it's going to be good, man. It's It's gonna be so good.
William Long with $20. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, William.
I see a lot of people already worrying about Joker, but the way Matt Reeves seems to be handling Riddler makes me want to see a genuinely terrifying Scarecrow as the lead villain in a sequel that seems tailor-made for this take. I would agree. I think that, I want to see Matt Reeves' take on anything. I think the reason that people always go to the Joker is because he's so synonymous with Batman, and he probably is, I'll go on a limb and say, the most famous comic book villain of all time. So as soon as you say, all right, we got a new iteration of Batman, they're like, well, what's the new iteration of Joker?
Exactly.
And they just want to see what you're going to do different with it. Ever since Heath Ledger, because Heath Ledger, it had been so long since we had seen the Joker. It wasn't really like it had that power to it. And then you cast Heath Ledger and everybody's like, oh, that guy, the 10 thing, whatever. And then you see the movie and it's like, okay, so the Joker can be like that. And then that's when you get Jared Leto and they're like, oh, what's he going to do? He just won an Oscar. And then they see it and they go, oh, okay. And then you get the
Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, and you're like, oh, what's that going to look like? It's just, there's so many different things you can do with this clown that immediately, as soon as you say, this is what we're going to do with Batman, that's the next question is, well, what are you doing with Joker?
It's funny, and I know this is not going to happen, so please, nobody take this out of context. It won't happen. But the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, that tone, fit to me the tone that this trailer was going for. And it's not going to happen. It doesn't work. That Joker's in the 80s. This is in the late 90s. It's never going to happen. I'm just saying, you look at it and you look at these two tones and it's like,
that's the thing.
If it ever were, it could work. It could fit.
That's the thing, though. I don't know if I would say never here, Durbin. I don't know if I would say
that's
never, because it seems like the stars,
you never know.
It seems like they're aligning all of the stars, just hoping that Joaquin Phoenix says yes. To be honest with you, it seems like that's the one part where they're like, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't do sequels. I only did this because it was this cool prestige piece we're going to do. But they're aligning the stars. And like, say our theory earlier was right, and these Joker thugs are Joker thugs, and he's already been doing business for a while. That fits because, he's been doing business since he had that little thing where he snapped back in the day. And I don't think the initial difficulty that I had that we talked about was if you're going to put that Joker in a Batman movie, then that Batman movie has to be rated R. It doesn't make any sense. But this movie is so dark and has that murder mystery feel to it. And it seems so Seven-like that even if they're not dropping an F-bomb or if they go that far with the violence, I think you could have that Joaquin Phoenix Joker in a movie with this tone and it wouldn't feel awkward. It wouldn't feel like he's watered down. So I don't know. I'm kind of starting to buy into that theory that they set that up. They knew what they had with the Joker movie and just waited for everybody to see it. And then they set up the Batman and said, okay, this is going to be separate. This is a different universe. He's not going to be hanging out with those villains, just like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. We're going to push it back to the 90s. That way he's not a 50-year-old Joker fighting Ben Affleck. Yeah. And I don't know.
If you take this theory that we're laying out here, again, all theory, nobody take this out of context. The whole revolution that the Joker had going was everybody wearing those clown masks. And now you see these thugs with clown paint. Could that be however long it is, 15 years later, people still carrying that same torch?
Yep.
Could that be what we're seeing?
Possibly.
Just a question.
I hadn't really thought about it until you just started bringing it up, but I'm like, you know what? The stars are aligning pretty damn well right now. It wouldn't be that hard. Wouldn't be that hard of a leap to make.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like we could talk about this movie trailer for an hour and a half. I'm so happy. I'm so happy as a Batman fan. I was on cloud nine just on Friday, just hearing that Ben Affleck was going to come back and we're going to get some Michael Keaton. And it's like, well, that's such a cool thing to do for Batman fans.
I was on cloud nine with you for that last minute state of the DCEU. Like it's it's amazing. And then we get this, and it's just. The future for DC is bright, but especially the future for Batman.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I cannot freaking wait. So we got another super chat. Ebard Thon. Hey, guys, if you had to pick one villain to see reimagined or for the first time in this universe, who would it be? Mine would be a version of Clayface.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'd love to see all the classic villains, obviously, but if you're going to go outside of the box, in this tone, and I had mentioned this on a previous State of the DCEU, in Arkham Knight, there was a villain called Professor Pig, who was a serial killer that was murdering people, and it fits kind of this tone. That would be a cool, really wild villain to go. But the other one, which Durban mentioned, which I don't know if it fits necessarily with this tone that they're going for, it definitely fits the Affleck universe, and that's Man-Bat. I do want to see Man.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Something cool for this universe, Zaz.
Yes.
Ignore what happened with Birds of Prey. And because of how creepy that was with the duct tape in this one, Zaz was one of the creepiest parts for me in Batman Arkham City. Like anytime I had to answer a payphone, the little hairs on the back of my neck would raise. Like, I don't want to talk to Zaz. That guy is so freaky. So take that guy and make him a villain in a sequel. That would be something pretty chilling.
Absolutely. And I don't have any knowledge on the Court of Owls. I feel like I need to get that comic book storyline and read it now.
I don't know much about the comic, but the movie was pretty cool. And it's in that New 52 series of movies after Son of Batman. So it's worth time to check out. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that seems like a villain clan that every time you mention it, Batman fanatics are like, oh yeah, Court of Owls. So I want to check out those as well. Red Hood. Yes, I want to see Red Hood. We got Hush or Red Hood. Obviously,
the promise of that for me lies in a future for Ben Affleck, because the Batman has gone back to the beginning, but with the idea of multiverse, we can continue Batfleck, and he is set up perfectly with that Robin suit to have under the Red Hood.
And that's so awesome that, I mean, we're operating on the assumption that Affleck's going to do more than just the Flash, but that's pretty awesome that we have ultra grounded young Batman where we can get prototype all these villains and get a very dark, realistic Batman, but you also have DCEU Batman that's in his 50s that can still fight all these wild, maniacal villains like Clayface that wouldn't fit, and do storylines that only make sense for an older Batman. And we don't have to wait. We don't have to wait for Robert Pattinson to turn 50. We don't have to wait for them to go back and recast. We can just do both.
Because by that point, I'll be too old and cynical for the 50 quadrillion reboots they'll probably have by then.
Yep, exactly. Oh, man. Well, I think we've said all we need to say about the Batman. So let's see, 116. Let's do 15 minutes of Q&A. We'll round it out at an hour and a half.
Let's do it.
Round it out at an hour and a half.
Good number, I think. Yeah.
Yes. So if you guys want to shoot us some questions for the next 15, 14 minutes or so, we'll just take some straight Q&A. Try to keep them DC fandom centric, but we'll answer some random ones here and there if we have to.
Yep. If we have to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Robin who died in the DCEU was Dick Grayson, not Jason Todd. That's easily fixed. Red Hood is just
true, but who's to say you can't do that to Dick Grayson? I mean, we're already looking at new explorations of characters and all these different things. So, I mean, in my mind, I go, well, why not? And I did read that it is Dick Grayson, but it would be fascinating to see Dick Grayson be that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing, kind of. Stephanie Johnson, do you think Bane would work in this version of Batman? It depends, because I've seen versions of Bane, like we saw it in the Nolan verse. You see it in Batman Arkham Origins, where he's just this muscular dude. The Bane from Batman and Robin, the Bane from the animated series or the Arkham games, no. But there's a lot of iterations of Bane, so just get a really
good work. You can do it and keep it grounded. It's just, it's a steroid, and you just don't have to over-exaggerate the strength, but just enough of the strength that you could see how he'd overpower Batman.
Absolutely. Robert Englund for Scarecrow. I'm sold. Let's do
Robert Englund? I can't picture him right now.
Durban.
I probably know who he is. I just didn't.
Freddy Krueger, man. Who? Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger.
Okay, see, I need to watch those movies. You haven't got me there yet. That's on you, Cody.
That is your homework assignment. That is your homework assignment.
That is not on me.
That is your COVID homework assignment, is to familiarize yourself.
Now I can grow my knowledge.
You go.
Yes, Freddy Krueger. I would love to see that too.
Now let me scroll past all the WTF Durban comments and get another question. Bryan Cranston for Mr. Freeze?
Maybe.
I'll take Bryan Cranston for anything, but sure, Mr. Freeze.
Give me him as Mr. Freeze in the DCEU. But here's what I'd rather see Bryan Cranston as. Lex Luthor Sr. coming in to beat the tar out of Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that.
I hope they do a Man of Steel 2. What do you think the story will be if they do one? I will defer to you on that because you know more about Superman storylines than I do. I'm still a young buck.
Honestly, at this point, for a Man of Steel 2, the storyline I want is Brainiac. I think now that we've had whether you go with the Snyderverse Justice League or the Whedonverse Justice League, you've still had him fight Zod, so Alien Invasion #1. Justice League is Alien Invasion #2. If you really want him to go that next level of fighting, I really think Brainiac is that next level that you need to bring Henry Cavill's Superman up against. That's what I want the plot to be. Brainiac comes, he wants to take the Earth and take all of its knowledge and shrink a city in a bottle just for himself. And one of the things that I loved about Smallville was Brainiac could kind of shapeshift and look like a good guy. And he really won Clark's friendship. And I would love to see a Brainiac with that same type of skill set and maybe offer something that looks so good to Clark and then betray him. I think that'd be awesome.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Next question. WTF Durban. Oh, that's just a statement. Hang on.
Oh, gosh. It's Cody's fault, okay? I didn't grow up in horror movies. It's Cody's responsibility to mentor me.
Dave Bautista as Bane. I could see it.
I could see it.
I can see that.
I see it more DCEU than I do Pattinson, but I could see it.
Yes. Let me see here. Just getting a lot of fan casting. Willem Dafoe is Joker. We talked about that in our last one, actually.
About that. I could see it, but yeah.
Brainiac or Darkseid should be the Thanos of the DC movies. Agreed.
Yes. That's tough, though, because if you go Brainiac, then it doesn't feel like you're copying off the MCU. Either way, you're following DC stuff, so you're not copying the MCU. But if you go Brainiac, it does present a different feel altogether.
Yes. Let me see here. I wish they announced a Batman Telltale Season 3. I'm right there with you because I love both the seasons of that game. I thought they were incredible.
I only played a little bit of Season 1. It was a lot of fun, though. Very interesting.
I loved it. I loved the gameplay. I loved the storyline, especially. It was actually dark and kind of R-rated. And then the second one, you get into a lot of villain origins and the Joker origins and everything. So the second one is kind of like the villain storyline, but you get Catwoman in there and the whole relationship with them is really cool. And I loved it. Let's see. Saul John, the sequel to the Batman could be like Daredevil Season 3, but Penguin replacing Kingpin and Deathstroke or Deadshot replacing Bullseye, as it has the mystery aspect and the trailer sold me on the action. Possibly.
That could be interesting. Daredevil Season 3 was pretty darn amazing.
Amazing and heartbreaking at the same time, because I was like, that's great. And they're like, canceled. Okay. Would you guys want to see a Nightwing flick? For the longest time, they were talking about making one. I guess that was one of those ones that just kind of got shelved for a while.
And maybe now it doesn't have to. If Batfleck is pretty solid on back and they do pretty good stuff with it, that'd be cool to see Nightwing. But Nightwing is Dick Grayson. So if we know that in this DCEU, Dick Grayson was the one with the suit with the ha-ha jokes on you, a lot of interesting things that need to be worked out. Yeah,
very much so. Which is funny. I mean, like, I don't know. It's only Dick Grayson because Zack Snyder said so on like a Q&A or something. So I mean, like I know
in a film that says it.
Exactly. Point, so you could really easily just say, okay, I changed my mind. Like I don't know why, and I trust Zack Snyder. I think he's got a lot of interesting ideas. I don't know why you would make the Joker that got killed Dick Grayson just for the hell of it, unless there was a reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, did I miss a super chat? Yes, I did. We have CBMF Productions. Out of everything in the DC slate, if you had to choose one film to watch, what would it be? I would choose the Suicide Squad, the Batman. Batman, easily. Sorry. I thought the Suicide Squad looked awesome. I love Wonder Woman. I can't wait to see Wonder Woman 84. Everything else that we've talked about. And The Flash, I'm like, hell yeah, Affleck's back. And they showed me the Batman trailer, and I'm like, I'll take that.
If you have to choose one, because I am 50-50 on the Batman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm only 50-50 because I really think the Batman is going to be more special and unique. But man, Snyder's vision deserves to see the light of the day. So I would pick that just because of the waking nightmare he went through with this production. He deserves to see the light of the day. So yeah, I'd pick Justice League.
Well, legal loophole. You can pick Justice League and I'll pick Batman. That way we get to see both. There we go.
Done deal. We got the legal loophole.
Yeah. Forgot to put the fine print in there, CBMF.
That's right. That's right.
All right. What is your opinion about if they should release the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad? Me personally, I'm not in a gigantic hurry for it. I'm totally fine just focusing on Zach right now, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, there's still the possibility that we could watch this and say, well, all that hype, it wasn't very good. But we'll see. But I think that he deserves it as well from what he's been saying since the Zack Snyder Cut has been announced, because we could all speculate that things have been changed, and we know that the movie was recut, but
like 7 times.
Yeah, but the degree that it was changed, that he's been making it seem, it goes, okay, well, this is basically the same exact situation as Justice League, so if we're going to give it to him, might as well give it to him too, because this guy is taking a lot of stuff on the chin as basically saying, oh, this is the worst DCEU movie. So yes, I support it, but I'm not in a hurry for it. I don't think we need it for another year or two. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel the same. It's one of those things, like, I really did not like Suicide Squad. And I feel bad saying that. Poor David Ayer, because it's not like, I mean, he didn't do a bad job. It's just I know what happened. It was recut 7 times. How much of that stuff was he actually, barred from the editing room from? So it's not him that the movie came out the way it was. So yes, as a dude who loves acting, as a dude who loves movies, I want to see what his original vision would have been. At the same time, we've already moved past it with Birds of Prey. So I'm in no hurry for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you with that one. Are you guys going to watch the DC Fandome thing in September, like the Watchverse and the U-verse? I'm unfamiliar with what they're talking about. Do you know what that is?
Me too. That is new. Maybe I'm going to assume, is the Watchverse like the Watchmen universe? Is that what that is?
Possibly. I don't know. If it has movie stuff, yes, I'll watch it. I'm not too keen on watching the panels just on comics because I don't read comics too often. But if it's another round of things like this, then yes, absolutely, I'll watch it.
Same here. I'll copy and paste Cody's answer over here.
Do you think the Batman movies will and should be longer than a trilogy, as Matt Reeves has made the villains the early versions of them, so he probably wants them to return? If the movies are good, then yeah, no reason to cut them off at 3.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think trilogy is a good round number and probably a good way to kind of test where people are with it. Like, by the time you get to that 3rd one, are we still going to be itching for more?
Yeah, and I don't see.
We saw, yes.
I don't see Matt Reeves doing more than 3. So Matt Reeves will have his trilogy, but they can continue on with the characters and somebody else can take the reins.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow figure out a younger Justice League that fits that tone. And so you get a trilogy of Batman movies and then maybe you incorporate them in those other things, but we'll see.
What did you think of the Nirvana song in the Batman trailer? I'm not a Nirvana fan, but that is one of the few songs of them that I do like. And I think tonally it fits the trailer perfectly.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the things that gives me the chills when I watch that trailer. It was used so well in that trailer. And it's like the cuts flowed with what the music was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome.
Yep. Agreed. Let's see. If they do another Superman reboot, they should adapt American Alien. If I'm not mistaken, that's the one that was written by Max Landis. And I don't think Hollywood's too keen on promoting Max Landis stuff right now. So that's the only thing that's a little bit of a monkey wrench in your system there. But
that's actually one I haven't read. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. And Man of Steel
with all the other Superman comics.
Man of Steel was a combination. They took Superman Birthright, which was a great Superman origin story, and they took images from Earth 1 Volume 1, and they took both concepts and put them into that movie, which made Man of Steel all the better for me because I loved both of those comics. So I have a hard time, but today I'm going to watch Superman Man of Tomorrow, the animated movie. So look out for a review for that one. And I'm looking forward to that. And if that's good, I'd love the live action of that.
Cool. Nate Gates, Rebecca Ferguson should play Poison Ivy. Agree with me, Cody. Well, I agree with you. I'll take Rebecca Ferguson as anything that she wants to play after Dr. Sleep.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree with that.
So you got 2 agrees.
I just watched
for the price of 1
the other day. That was good.
Oh yeah, it's damn good. Cody, I know you are Team Batman and Durban is Team Superman, but who is y'all's second favorite comic book hero? Wolverine.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I've been on a Green Lantern kick lately. I'm gonna go with Green Lantern. I just finished Earth 1 Volume 2. That character's freaking astounding, man. Too bad he hasn't yet gotten his due in a movie, but Green Lantern is freaking awesome.
I don't think we're too far away from that happening.
We can't be.
I hope not.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody that didn't hate the Ryan Reynolds one. So
No, well, I mean, I loved Ryan Reynolds. He was great in it. The movie just fell flat.
yeah.
It's like you got the pops, you got a little bit of the good syrupy taste, but all the fizz is gone.
Good analogy. AZ's card. Honestly, given the tone of the Batman, if they give us a Justice League or Man of Steel sequel, I think Tobin Bell would be perfect as Brainiac. Thoughts? Tobin Bell is the guy who plays Jigsaw. If you weren't,
I haven't seen those movies, but
I don't know enough about the character of Brainiac to be able to say if he fits or not. Tobin Bell's a good actor. That's about all I can say. I agree with.
Yeah, Brainiac is. I do a bad job when people ask me questions. Who would you cast in these roles? Because it's like I don't even know.
Well, I mean, hell, if you saw a picture of that and said, "Who would you cast as this Penguin?" I wouldn't have thought Colin Farrell, but apparently it's a good fit.
Exactly, and so that's why I have a hard time with that. All I know is I look at Brainiac, and my favorite rendition of him is Smallville season 5 and season 7. And that was like my favorite rendition of Brainiac. So if you've seen Smallville, you know what I'm talking about. And I'd love that translated into the big screen somehow.
Mm-hmm. CBMF fan cast Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but
because he was the Daredevil.
I was going to say, if that's a fan cast, I have some good news for you. You have a movie to watch.
I have some bad news for you. It ain't good.
Yeah. Watch the director's cut. It's a little bit better.
Is it? Okay, I haven't seen that one. I've heard it was better. I just haven't watched it yet.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. Let's do 5 more. We'll do five more and we'll wrap it up. Do you want to see a Mr. Freeze reimagining? Because I do. That fits Ben Affleck more, I think. But yes, I do want to see a non-cheesy Arnold Schwarzenegger version of Victor Freeze because there's a lot of tragedy to the character that hasn't really been brought to life yet. So yes, I do.
And I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger who made that role cheesy.
No.
I think that was.
I think he played it
that bad.
He played it perfectly for the movie he was in. I mean, that's you couldn't cast anybody else as that Freeze.
I think he now in his old age, if you made him Freeze in the age of Batfleck, and you had him play it more somber, I think he could do it. I think he could pull it off again and do it right and give him a better costume.
Yeah. Let me see. Durban, Man of Tomorrow is actually adapted from American Alien. They just changed the title to separate it from Landis.
Oh, well, I'm going to be watching that movie today, and therefore a review is going to come out soon. And I am very much so looking forward to watching that movie. Like, as soon as I'm done here with Cody Leach, I'm sitting in front of the TV watching Man of Tomorrow.
Awesome. Believe in the hype. I want to see a badass Deathstroke on the big screen. So did I.
Yes.
I think that was actually the plan for Ben Affleck because they already had Deathstroke cast. They had that post-credit scene in Justice League. So I think that the Ben Affleck Batman movie was going to be Batman versus Deathstroke, which, God, I want to see that.
My favorite Deathstroke, though, was Arrow Season 2. I mean, that was incredible how they used him in Season 2 of that show before that show turned terrible.
And he's the best villain boss fight in any of the Arkham games. So
yeah.
Do you think that Robert Pattinson's Batman and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker are half brother, like mentioned in the Joker movie? Well, if you watch the Joker movie, I think that was pretty much set in stone that was not true. That was something.
But then again, the movie is so full of lies that you can't help but question what's real and not real when you watch that movie. I do think it's pretty true that he's not Bruce's half brother, but it wouldn't be beyond somebody as rich as Thomas Wayne to, fudge the books and make it really look like that's not his son. So from what I know of Thomas Wayne from other iterations, I don't think he would do that, but interesting.
Yeah. I don't really want to see a version of Batman and Joker where they're half brothers. I think they don't need that tie. I don't think it adds anything to the relationship. So I'm going to choose to believe that it was all the ruse in the movie. But no, if you're just asking subjectively, do I think it'll happen? No, I don't think so. Last question. Let's find a juicy one. Here we go. Do you think we will get a Ben Affleck Batman series on HBO Max? So we've talked about maybe more movie deals, but we haven't talked about them getting like a limited series of Ben Affleck Batman stories. What do you think the possibility is of that?
That is going to depend on several things. First off, it's going to depend on if Zack Snyder's Justice League is well received. It's going to depend on if that version of Batman in Zack Snyder's Justice League is well received. And it's really going to depend on Ben Affleck's state of mind. Like, it's got to be something that matches closer to that Snyder version and something that he's on board with. And so there are so many factors at play there. If you're asking me what I want that. I want a Ben Affleck limited Batman series. I would flippin' love it. You could throw Red Hood in there. You could do your reimagining of the Freeze. You could do so many cool things. So if the stars aligned, I want that.
I think it all depends on how much creative freedom they're willing to give Ben Affleck, because I think that was the main issue. I think he wanted to do his movie. He had already proven that he does not need to answer to too many people. I've made 3 successful movies in a row. One of them won the Oscar for Best Picture, Leave Me the Hell Alone. And they wouldn't. They wanted to put all their fingers in the cookie jar and say, no, move this around. This guy's got to be here for this movie. And that's when I think he said in an interview that I saw that a friend of his, which I'm assuming was Matt Damon, told him that the script is great, but if you go through with this, you're going to drink yourself to death. So I think that now that he's in a better state of mind, I think that now that Zack Snyder is getting his due, now that he's signed on for this Flash movie, maybe if he has a lot of fun doing the Flash movie and has a good experience with that, and HBO Max says, all right, Ben, we know you got this script. We know that everybody wanted to change it or do this or do that. Can you turn your script into a 4 or 5 episode series like we did this Justice League thing, and we'll give it to you? I think then it would be pretty hard for him to turn it down. As a Batman fan, if he gets creative control, he'd be like, okay, yeah. So I don't know. That depends on HBO Max, though. Like I said, I know nothing about how the numbers work on streaming versus box office. It would be very easy if the Snyder Cut was coming to theaters for us to look at the box office the first weekend and go, well, that universe is dead. Or
like when Justice League hit the big screen, we saw the numbers and went, oh, it's all gone. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So it would have to, we'll see. Time will tell. But like you said, if you're asking me what I want, hell yes, I want that. Well, that's it, guys. That is everything for the DC Fandome. Man, that was a lot of fun talking about that stuff, and especially I'm glad that I have somebody that's equally as passionate as I am about Batman stuff to just nerd out with for a while, because my other buddies on Autop Stream, I got Brian, who would take over the entire stream talking about Batman the whole time, and then I have CP that would just be miserable because we're talking about comic book movies. So it would be a fun experience. But always love having you on here to talk about that stuff, man. And everybody else, thank you for watching. Durban, for the few of us that don't know where to find you, I'm going to put the link down in the video description once we're done, but where can we find you?
You can find me. My name is right there, Durbania. So just search Durbania. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I can't get it right. There you go. Anyway, search that on YouTube, Durbania. You'll find me right there. I do movie reviews. Like I said, I'm watching Man of Tomorrow right after this. So at some point here real soon, you'll get a review of that. And I'm looking forward to talking about that one. That's going to be really good. So you can find movie reviews like that, ranking videos, the 31 on 31 I did with Cody Leach and all those people. Like, oh my gosh, it was so fun putting that together. And I do these things called theological analyses where I like to find God in movies, and I have a blast doing that. So if you want to come over, hang out, let's do that.
Absolutely. Do that. Hit the subscribe button. Say you came over from the state of the DCEU. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It is a damn good time to be a DC fan. And with that, we bid you adieu.